Welcome to the Uncensored Self Podcast. I am your host, Ryan Gillen, and this is a space where women who value achievement, success, accomplishment, and wealth, but also crave happiness, love, joy, and deep fulfillment come to remember that we get to have both. Not by doing more, but by being more of who we truly are. In this show, we explore identity, energy, alignment, and embodiment because you didn't come here to follow someone else's rules. You came to right your own. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the Uncensored Self Podcast, where I have a really important message for you today. And that message is that I need you to stop fucking manifesting clients and money. Let's dive in. This is going to be such a good one, and you guys are going to love this. So I'm going to always give you the backstory because that's just what we do here, right? And then we will dive in. But 2 weeks ago, right, I produced a show called The Feminine Energy Advantage in Sales and Marketing, right? And really bringing our feminine energy, our dreamer energy into the business and how important that was. And then last week, I had this really intuitive nudge to kind of break up with what I had originally planned with that podcast series about the feminine energy advantage and talk about finding your voice, right? And being vulnerable and dropping that mask of performance that so many of us have been wearing quite literally our entire lives. And today, I actually want to take that conversation even a level deeper. Because as I was walking the other day, and when I walk, I just kind of give you guys kind of a background of what I do is I go out and I set an intention for the walk. And sometimes the intention is just to move my body. Sometimes the intention is to brainstorm ideas. Sometimes the intention is just whatever's going on. And it's just kind of it's almost like an internal prayer when it's just like, God, source, the universe, whatever you believe in. For me these days, it's God. It's like, God, on this walk, I really want to, lock into what's the next podcast episode. And that's literally what it was. And I went on a walk and just kind of watching the trees and the birds and the things. And it comes through was that we have to stop making it about creating results and start making it about enjoying the experience. And I knew that was the beginning of the download that I was going to get. So I literally, picked my phone up, AirPod out, hit record, and here we go, right? And one of the things that I realized, and I shared this with you in last week's episode, is that I used to multitask even in those joyful moments, right? Like being on the back of a motorcycle and using that time on the back of the motorcycle to visualize my future and to feel the feelings of my future self. And again, this is not inherently bad, right? But when we think through, like, can I just be present? Can I just be the woman on the back of a motorcycle that has nowhere to get or nothing to do, but just to be here and just to enjoy this moment? And so I shared a lot of that last week. And that's really what came through yesterday on this walk when I started downloading or brainstorming this episode was how often do we turn something that we love into another project, into another checklist item? And I've really been tearing that apart, right? Still thinking about how much I'm still in my doer, how much my masculine energy is still driving. And I'm doing this in real time. I tell you guys this all the time, and I mean it from my heart of hearts. I am on the same journey you are on. I'm just at a different place in the journey, right? Or I just have a different level of experience I bring to the journey. So this episode is really about the subtle way that we turn our spiritual work, right? Manifestation, joy, love, fun, the things we enjoy, into performance, into a way to get somewhere else. And I believe that this comes from not necessarily not understanding manifestation, but comes from most manifestation teachings are built for the average person. And I don't mean that to be degrading or mean or disrespectful in any way, but as you can tell, when you move about the world, whether it's with clients or you're managing a team or whatever it is, right? A lot of people in the world struggle with motivation, with taking action, with self-belief. And you and I are the exact opposite, right? We overbelieve, overperform, overdo, right? Like we're motivated to do all the things at once as quickly as possible. And we believe, like when we say yes, we totally believe that we can do it, right? And so when we consume this content or see this content or this content is presented to us in some way, right? We're like, okay, great. This is really fun. I'm the creator of my reality. Let's go do this. But when we use manifestation just to get more, so more clients, more money, more success, we're just rebranding our masculine energy as spirituality. I'm no longer trying to make millions of dollars. I'm just trying to manifest it. And it just becomes something else that we do. And it's still force, right? It's still effort. It's still trying to get something instead of being someone. So when you are manifesting money or manifesting clients, there's still something outside of you that has to happen for you to feel like you did it right. And somebody like you and I, like our brains go all the time, like, I'm going to get this right. I'm going to get this right. I'm going to prove how great I'm great at everything. I can be great at this too, right? And I'll be honest with you, I actually recorded a short form piece of content about this a couple weeks ago, which was, for me, it's almost felt like the betrayal of an old self, right? I worked my ass off for so long. Like, I did so many things and I was so proud of that, right? Like, it was such a big part of who I was. Like, I'm such a fucking hard worker. Look at what I've done. Look at what I've created. Look at what I've been willing to do. Look at the sacrifices I made. Look at the things that I've lost. Like, look, you know? And it was like this betrayal of, if it's all of a sudden just easy, and it all of a sudden just clicks, and it all of a sudden just works, what was all that hard work for? And I didn't realize that was buried in there until yesterday when I started brainstorming this episode for you. It was like, yeah, you know, if you just put down the story, there's something very specific that you have to do to create the results. Then you have to realize that you're the one who's been wreaking havoc in your life for the last 42 years or however long you have been on this planet. And that still what you're doing to this day, despite being very successful and running a beautiful business and doing all the things you love, is you're still trying to move the needle outside of yourself, and you're still measuring yourself against that. I've gotten better, right? Obviously, I've gotten so much better. It's not the only thing I measure, but it is still something that comes into my awareness pretty regularly throughout the course of the day, right? Pretty regularly throughout the course of the days. Are we moving the needle? Are we getting closer to where we want to go, right? Am I in alignment? Am I in alignment with a woman running a multi-million-dollar business? And a lot of, again, just checking in with, am I doing it right, right? Like, that's the subtle undertone of, am I doing this right? And that's not at all what intentional reality creation is. That's not at all what it is I have to do this right in order to get the thing. That's no different than I have to follow the right marketing strategy to get the thing, or I have to be in the right business at the right time, and interest rates have to be at the right rate, and I have to have the right education from the right place and the right certification in order to get that job, get that opportunity, make that money, right? It still proves that there's something I have to do to get it. That's still a transaction. Anything transactional is masculine energy. It is results focused. And again, not bad, but still not aligned with our feminine energy, with true alchemy, right? If you haven't listened to the whole series on the feminine energy archetypes, there's a whole one here on the podcast. If you want to deep dive into the masterclass, I actually do have that available. I have a $97 masterclass series that breaks down the dreamer, the doer, and the alchemist. So if you're like, what the fuck is this lady talking about? That's a really great place to start. It's a really good masterclass series with some great reflection questions for you about your energy. But all of that to say that, you know, we get stuck in the doing, or I got myself stuck in the doing. And so it was one of those, like, that version of me, she got me here. She's powerful. And now I'm supposed to tell her to, like, go take a nap, go sit down, go chill out, go drink margaritas or pina coladas by the beach. And fuck, that's uncomfortable, because who am I if I'm not efforting all the time? Who am I if I'm not working until my eyes bleed? Like, who am I if I'm not suffering in sacrifice, right? And nobody talks about this discomfort. That's why this is so important, and transparency is so important to me, because so much of the manifestation content that I was consuming at the beginning of my journey was all about that this should be easy. This should be easy. You should just be able to attract clients with ease. You should just be able to, you know, all of a sudden think different thoughts or be a different person. But nobody talks about, like, that's really hard. And, you know, choose your heart and the words we use, blah, blah, blah. But everybody glamorizes surrender until it requires releasing control. And your ego is not going to like that, right? Because your ego has been running the show your entire fucking life. And for you and I, our ego has served us quite well. So it is a great big spoonful of humble pie to realize that that bad bitch who's been driving is actually the one who has been torturing us the whole time. And so, again, personal development is written for the people who need a push, not people like us who have been sprinting for as long as we can remember. We don't need a push. We're running. We're like, why are you running so slow? What is your problem? I don't know what you're doing. Others are learning to start, and you're learning to stop. Our work here, and when I say our work, your work, my work, the work of the ambitious woman, it isn't about motivation. It's about allowing, right? Rules and laws are written for the masses, for averages, and they serve us well for the most part. I throw a lot of shade at the rules, but the truth of the matter is there's a lot of rules in life that serve us pretty well, right? But until you realize that you are not the average, you are not the masses, you are not the person that rule was written for. You know, they talk about, like, I always think of, like, medicine, you know, when you take a Benadryl dosage, right? It's an average, right? When they say adults over the age, or, you know, people over the age of 12 take this amount of Benadryl, it's dosed for most people. Right? There's some people, different shapes, sizes, the way the metabolism, but it's not a personalized recommendation. And that's why Benadryl is an over-the-counter medication, because it's safe for everybody to take. And even if it's a little too much or a little too little, it'll probably do what it's supposed to do, right? It's for the masses. Societal rules are for most people. So when we apply average advice or average guidance to an above average soul, it actually fucking backfires. And that's why a lot of manifestation teachings wreak havoc for high performers, because they make us think that if we're failing, if we're not constantly creating. But for you and I, our challenge isn't creation, it's enjoyment. That is the shift that needs to happen. Is it can't just be about creating more clients and creating more clients and creating more money and creating more money and creating and creating and creating. It has to be at some point in time enjoying what you have created. Right? So let's talk about the difference between creation versus creating. Okay. And this is technical ish, but I think you'll get it. Right. So creating is masculine. It is the doing, the planting, the chasing, right? You're creating. And I'm going to use the farming or gardening examples because those seem to be pretty universal, right? Somebody has to go plant the seeds. If you want to intentionally grow tomatoes or corn, you have to create that, right? You have to go plant the seeds, right? That's creating. Creation is our feminine energy, our dreamer energy. That's the receiving, the soil that is ready for said seed, right? We don't actually know what happens beneath the ground while those seeds are germinating, right? That's the miracle. That's the becoming. And so we want to create. So we're like, okay, cool. The doing, the planting, the chasing, but feminine energy, dreamer energy is the receiving, the miracle, the becoming. And so I'm still stuck up here. And I would gather that you probably are as well. So when you're manifesting from a place of needing clients or money, you're in the masculine. And even if you don't actually need it, like need it for survival, but like need it to feel good. That's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about like, I need money to pay the mortgage. Most of you are not in that situation, right? Or I need this money or, our electricity is going to be turned off. A lot of you listening, that's not where you are. If you are, it's the same thing though. But most of you, that's not it. You need it to feel good. You need it to feel valuable. You need it to validate that story that you've been telling yourself your entire fucking life. Right? So the how I can tell the difference between creating or creation, right? Like we birth babies from our bodies as women, right? Even if you've never had a kid, you know this, right? Like we birth them from our bodies. We nourish them from our bodies. Creation is internal. The growing of a human life is internal. The growing of the tomatoes or the corn or whatever you planted is internal. It's happening below the ground. You can't see it. You can't control it. You can't change it. You can't micromanage it. It's just happening naturally because that's the way creation works. But when you are in the creating of, I'm very intentionally trying to do this thing in order to create this thing, instead of I planted my seeds and I trust that my seeds are going to grow the way that I planted them and the way that I intended them to grow. We don't do that. Like I planted the seeds. Did I water the seeds? Did I plant the right seeds? Like when are they going to come up? Can we get them to come up a little faster? Can we give them a little push? Is there something else we could do maybe to the soil or, something just to make these seeds plant just a little faster? Like I'm manifesting corn right now, but I just need, right? Like, right? Is that happening in your head? Because it's happening in mine. It's happening in mine. And I admit this, and I almost like felt it in my body when I was like, I'm probably not supposed to say these things out loud. But sweet Jesus, if nobody says these things out loud, we stay stuck and we can't figure out, even though I'm doing this manifesting thing and I'm creating, why am I not living in constant overflow? Why is it happening in fits and starts? And that's what I'm noticing in my life, very specifically business and money. Because it is the one that is my drug of choice, if you will. It's not an issue in my relationship, right? I'm not trying to micromanage my relationship. I have manifested a beautiful, incredible relationship. It's challenging. Like it's not easy. We have to have some really fucking tough conversations, but it's beautiful. And I don't think that there's something that I have to do in order to create that relationship, right? But in business, there's still this thing that I still have to do. I still have to do something. And again, I do believe in action, but it's still an over-reliance in the doing, in looking to the doing to produce the results instead of doing the thing that you're doing because it's fun and it's inspired and it's exciting and you love it and it brings you joy in some way, right? Like that's the difference here. And I hope that's clear as I keep moving, okay? So what I really want you to do in this episode is I want you to stop trying to manifest clients and money and start embodying the energy that attracts them, the energy of creation, the energy of joy, the energy of fulfillment, right? When you make manifestation about results, you're plugged into the masculine power source, right? You are plugged into your masculine energy, results. Feminine energy, experience, right? So when manifestation is about, I'm only manifesting correctly when the money or the clients are showing up in my world right now, right? I'm still tied to results and to doing. I'm still in my masculine energy. I still have got my dreamer in the peripheral, right? Abraham, one of my favorite ones, right, is vacuuming with the cord unplugged, right? Like you go in and you vacuum because you want the house to be clean because you have people coming over and you want them to know that you're a clean person and you take good care of your house, right? You're doing all the things, but you're not plugged in. The vacuum isn't plugged in. That's what we're talking about here, right? You're trying to create external proof instead of cultivating internal alignment. I'm going to say that for you again. You are trying to create external proof instead of cultivating internal alignment. So when you go to take action in anything business or money related, the questions that we need to ask ourselves is, am I doing this because I love it or because I need it to work? Because if it doesn't work, I must be doing something wrong, right? Am I chasing a result, or am I living in the experience of what it's like to be a woman running a business or to be a woman in this career, right? And for me, I want to use this podcast as a perfect example. Like, it's my proof. I love recording this podcast. I also spend a lot of time developing the belief that this podcast is the best sales tool I have. I literally was just chatting with a client about this morning. Like, to me, this is sales activity. There used to be a point in time where sales activity wasn't like, if I wasn't belly to belly with somebody, it wasn't sales activity. It wasn't moving the needle because I couldn't touch it, right? Like, I can't control. Once I record this podcast and push it out into the world, I can't actually control where it goes. So right now, am I technically in my masculine energy because I'm doing something? Yes. Am I doing something to create a result? Also, yes. But the experience of creating this is one of my favorite things to do. I went on a walk in the woods and let God plant an idea in my head and just started hitting record on how I wanted this episode to unfold and how I could best serve people. And now I'm sitting here in my house having this conversation with you. Like, this is creation at its finest. Because I love doing this. You can tell by my body language. My dog freaks out when I record this because when my energy gets all up and crazy, she's like, Mom, you okay over there? Right? Like, she's literally been climbing in my lap lately. That's how I know my energy is locked in. But I love it. It naturally enrolls people into my programs, right? And it's not just because, like, oh, well, I'm going to strategically position it this way or talk about this offer or talk about that offer. I just love doing this and I love sharing in this way. And I believe the people that consume this want help and they want support. So I make offers to do it, right? That's the energy of creation. It's joy in the form of marketing, right? And this is mirrored back to me often because people will tell me, oh, I listened to this one episode and it was so good. Oh my God, Ryan, I was listening to your episode about da-da-da-da-da the other day and it's blowing my mind, right? Clients, people tell me, I've been listening to your podcast, and they will book consultations with me, or somebody will say, oh my God, that one podcast was the reason why I knew that I needed to chat with you, right? Existing clients go there, right? So this isn't just marketing to enroll new people. Like, this is support for my existing clients as well. It's not just a sales tool either. It's also an act of service. It's the thing I'd still do. Even if somebody handed me a blank check and said, write it for as many zeros as you want to, I would still generate this podcast for you because this information is so interesting to me and so exciting for me. And this is the way that I love to share. I'm a natural broadcaster. If you listened in last week's episode, I was fucking in the high school newspaper and yearbook when I was a kid. I was going to study journalism. I went to college and studied advertising and marketing. I started my career in radio advertising, for fuck's sake, right? Like, I've quite literally been groomed for this moment, grooming myself, quite frankly, this moment, my entire life. So if somebody said, Ryan, here's a bajillion dollars, I would still produce this show. And because I just love doing it and I love this information so much, and sweet baby Jesus, I wish somebody would have told me these things, right? And because I love doing this, it works. And because it's joyful, it does the selling for me. And because it's authentic, it magnetizes. It's natural for me to share this with people. I'm like, holy bananas, this was a good one. You got to go listen, right? I also want to tell you that I think this work is cyclical. Like, it doesn't end. Every level of consciousness is asking me to soften again and again and again. And you're going to go on this journey, right? Like, every single time I think that I've got it, another layer of control shows up to release, as came through from, what came through yesterday. Feminine energy is a constant invitation to trust. And I am still learning that every single day, because feminine energy, I talked about this a little bit last week, right? But in general, when we think of nature, feminine is smaller than the masculine, right? The masculine's job, protect and provide, right? The feminine job, nurture and support and enhance. So it is an invitation to trust, because we have to trust the masculine is going to protect us, right? Like, in relationships, we have to trust the masculine is going to protect us. In the jungle, right? Like, we have to trust that the masculine is going to go out and hunt and provide food for our whatever. It is a human instinct. This isn't something we have a lot of control over as women, where we do need to be protected because we are physically smaller than our male counterparts. And that is part of our programming. And so even trusting in something as simple as God sourced the universe, trusting in manifestation, trusting in something unknown, it's still a big ask when we are so used to having to protect and provide for ourselves, right? Especially if business is your drug of choice, if you will, right? So you're not behind. I'm not behind, because 5 years into my journey, I'm just having these aha moments. I'm just learning to play the energy game at every single level, right? I'm inviting more and more in. So I really want to challenge you in the way that you approach manifestation. And then I'll wrap up for you today, right? What if it's not about manifesting more? because you already have clients, right? You already make money. You already have enough by society standards, right? Most of the women that I talk to are wildly successful based on the world's standards, based on what we were told success should look like. Get a job, climb the ladder, da 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 da. You're doing all those things and you're doing it very well. Most people look to you as the person who has your shit together, who has all of the answers. So creating more of that is not actually going to change the way you experience life. Because it's not about creating more, but enjoying what you've already created, right? Freedom, peace, joy, all the things we say that we think that money and more clients is going to bring us, right? Those are feelings. They're not numbers. So if you're using manifestation to try to finally manifest enough money to feel free, that's backwards. Feel free now, and the manifestation becomes inevitable, which is why you are trying to manifest money through a process that you fucking hate. Maybe not all of you, but a lot of you, right? You're like, I've chosen real estate. I work with a lot of real estate agents and I want to manifest more clients, but I'm going to manifest more clients by working 16 hours a day. That's not what you actually want. You don't want to work 16 hours a day. You actually want to manifest more clients working less. So manifesting more clients working 16 hours a day is never going to make you feel free. That's why you're never an energetic match to more clients and more money. The energetic it goes from feeling to frequency to result, but we're waiting for the result to give us the feeling. Choose the feeling and the result has no choice but to meet you there. But you're not going to find the feeling of a free, abundant, magical business working 16 hours a day. It's not going to happen. It physically can't, right? It physically can't. Do you get what I'm saying here? That the reason why you have been trying to manifest money and clients, and while you maybe are getting more clients and more money, it doesn't feel any different. It doesn't feel any better. It doesn't feel any more free. It's because you're manifesting it from a place that's not free. Most of us, I believe, aren't manifesting more money and more clients because we think more clients equals more time. More responsibility just needs more of me. More money and I'm not already good with the money I have, you know? See, she shows up. She's like, Mom, you are fired up today. Yes, your dad likes it when you're internet famous, pretty girl, right? Mom gets fired up. Remy's like, let's go for it. You can just stay here with me. I don't know if the mic's going to pick you up. But this is such an important conversation, guys, is we have got to stop manifesting more money and more clients. And we have to start manifesting the version of us, the version of yourself where more money and more clients is a natural byproduct of who you're being. And you cannot do that when you hate what you're doing. And I'm talking specifically in this instance about sales and marketing, because that's what I've been focused on these past couple of weeks because it finally came through. I'm hosting a workshop. This is a paid workshop it's actually going to be an entire workshop series called the Feminine Energy Advantage Workshop Series. And these are going to be virtual workshops. I'm hosting an in-person workshop this week that I'm so fucking pumped about. But in-person workshops are just challenging for dates and time and all of that. But for me, I also think that workshops are really, really important because information isn't what you need more of. And I know that's ironic to say while you're listening to my podcast to get more information about not manifesting clients and money. Like, I get that. But you know this inherently. Why are you not implementing it? Why are you not embodying it? Why are you not integrating it? And it's because information is fucking cheap, quite frankly, right? The real work happens in workshop, in conversation, in reflection from other people, in talking out loud and hearing yourself talk, in getting other people's feedback and ideas. So I'm going to host this 4-hour workshop where I'm actually going to teach you how do I actually invite my feminine energy into my business? How do I actually start leaning on some of these practices? How do I start making them work? Because when you start selling and marketing from a place of alignment, when you start talking about what you do and how you serve people and your gifts and all of that from a place of alignment, which is what we call the alchemist and the feminine energy archetypes, right? There's the doer, who's our masculine, right? There's the dreamer, who's our feminine. And the alchemist is the one who knows that both are required, right? We can't grow corn without a seed, but we also can't grow corn without well-tended to soil. So right now we got a whole lot of seeds and our soil isn't tended too well, right? This is so funny, guys. Like, I'm so not a farmer or a gardener. I just started keeping plants alive in the past 2 years. So it's really beautiful that those are the examples I have a tendency to share, but that's the truth of the matter. So we're over here planting seeds and working 16-hour days to plant seeds, and they're not growing plants. And we're like, what the actual fuck? Maybe I just need to plant different seeds. Maybe I need to plant seeds somewhere else. Maybe I need to plant more seeds. Maybe I need to plant different seeds. And what we're going to do in this workshop is we're going to talk about how can we actually get more out of the seeds that we already plant? Or are we even planting the right seeds? Because I do discover from a lot of women that the reason why their businesses aren't thriving is because they're not aligned. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that God would not let my marketing agency grow past $30,000 months because it was not where I was supposed to be. It was not for me. I have the skills. skills. I have the gifts, but it was not aligned. Teaching marketing and content creation to people who don't want to be marketers or content creators is not where I'm supposed to be in life. I was never supposed to be there. I knew that. But it was an easy way to make money and people would pay for it. How does that sound familiar? Well, this isn't really what I want to be doing with my life, but it's an easy way to make money and people will pay for it. I'm already good at it. I already have these skills. I already have all these degrees and these followers. I mean, I guess I will. Like, that's quite literally how I wound up running a marketing agency. I was fucking desperate. I was desperate for money at the time, and it was like, people will pay me for this, and they did, but I hated every minute of it. And I don't want that for you. I don't want that for you. I want you to be wildly successful in your career. I want you to make as much money as you want. I want you to serve as many clients as you want to serve, but I want you to do it in a way that you enjoy, in a way that lights you up, in a way that it is aligned, because that's where the ease comes in, right? You still have to plant the seed. Somebody still has to go out and plant the corn, but I want you to be able to plant the corn and walk away and go do something else and trust that the corn is gonna grow. But if the only way you know to grow corn is to plant it and to watch it and to think about it and worry about it and stress about it and try to make it better and different and all the other things, then business is always going to feel hard. It doesn't matter whether or not you're working in your gifts. So I want you, A, working in your gifts, but B, attracting clients in an easier way. But I'm not going to tell you don't have to plant seeds. I'm just going to tell you that the growth process can be easier, right? So the purpose of this is not another how-to, it's an alignment, right? Rewriting your relationship with sales, rewriting your relationship with money and magnetism. And I will tell you, most of my stuff is not specific, but like, this is going to be specific for women responsible for business development. So real estate agents, mortgage lenders, entrepreneurs, if you are actually responsible for going out, selling and marketing and attracting business, this workshop is going to be the best one for you, right? And we're going to do a really deep dive into intuitive marketing, the doer, the dreamer, and becoming that alchemist in action, right? So the link is in the show notes. It's $297. It's a 4-hour workshop. And I'm also going to do an integration session. So you're actually going to get 5 hours, 5 live hours, right, with me. And we're really going to workshop through building something very intentional and very powerful for you. So I'm going to leave you with this today. Stop fucking manifesting clients and money. Start manifesting joy and ease and presence and creation. You are not here to chase results. You're here to live your life, and the results chase you. So ask yourself these questions. Where am I still performing instead of experiencing? What would it feel like to stop needing it to work and just enjoy it working through me? That's the alchemist. That's the feminine frequency. And that's the whole fucking point. I love you. I'll see you next week. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Uncensored Self podcast. If this conversation cracked something open for you, trust that. That's the work. And share this episode with a woman in your life who's ready to stop performing and start creating. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave a review. It helps this message reach the women who need it most. Remember, you're the creator. The rules are yours. And your uncensored self, she already knows what to do. Keep leading, keep listening, keep becoming.